This is typical Fergus. Right before we go to leave, something else happens.
So as you guys know, we should be on the road right now, heading towards the Wide Atlantic Way in Fergus to start exploring Ireland. But of course, there is something wrong with the engine. Last night we were getting ready to go, we were packing our van, we had it all ready to rock, and I said I'll just check the engine, make sure everything is going okay. And of course I've started to find diesel all over the top of the engine, and with a little bit of investigation and tracing this leak, we have found that the injection pump has started to leak. So I don't really fancy driving around with a leaking injection pump, putting diesel all over a hot engine just in case anything happens. It's always something with this van, isn't it? So after I found out where the leak was coming from, I had to do a little bit of investigation to see what was actually causing the leak, and it turns out that it's an LDA seal. I think that's what it's called. It goes on top of the injection pump. Now I tried to look everywhere for this part and I couldn't find it, but this van being Fergus, there is always something going wrong with it, and this here is not an injection pump from a 1.6 diesel, but in fact a 1.6 turbo diesel. That explains why I couldn't find the part anywhere. I've ordered this part from Brickworks. It was only like £4, and fingers crossed it gets here today. I can get it in and hopefully that fixes our issue so we can get back on the road. When the engine is running, it seems to be leaking from around here, and the seal goes in somewhere here, and it's just causing all to drop around this injector right here, which is pretty annoying. So it's time to go and pick the parcel up and get it in to Fergus. So after getting the timing belt and everything done, we thought we were good to go, hit the Wide Atlantic Way and hopefully not have any more breakdowns. But only a week later, after doing probably 20-30 kilometers, we have found this leak. So hopefully get the seal, put it in, and that will fix our problem. It has been 4 days since I've last been on here, and we have been waiting an entire 4 days on this parcel to come from Brickworks, and it has finally arrived. Now this is how small the part is that we need, and hopefully that is going to fix our issue, because I don't want to be driving around with a diesel leak falling on top of the engine. At first I thought it was coming from the injectors because it's wet around there, but upon further investigation we found out that it looks to be coming from the top of the injection pump, and that is where the oil, the diesel is leaking on top of the engine. So hopefully this little £4 seal is going to fix our issue, and you guys are probably going to be happy because now it's time to get the toolbox out and start cracking open this LDA. I don't even know what it is. So this injection pump right here is supposedly off a 1.6 turbo diesel. Why it's on Fergus I do not know, because this is definitely not a turbo engine. Let's get cracking, open this nut, and hopefully there should be a little seal in there that we can replace. Just look at the size of this little piece. That is probably causing our leak. Absolutely tiny.
This is typical Fergus. Right before we go to leave, something else happens, but let's hope that Shane fixes it once again, and I'm so glad that he was able to spot it right before we left. But Fergus never gives us a break, does he?
My guess is if I just crack open that nut, that should be enough. And as you can see, if you can see down there where it's all wet, that is where the diesel has been leaking down, and it's fallen in around that injector. When the van is running you can actually see it drip landing down in there, and it's just splashing all over the place. So it's time to get this nut opened. So in the videos it might look like I know what I'm doing, but I don't. Lose that. So you don't want to lose this little washer that goes on top of it. That little guy there. As you can see, that little blue seal is in there, and that is the part that we have got. Hopefully that is the issue and we can solve it. There is our little seal. So now we got the seal out, and I'm telling you that seal was pretty hard to get out, but it is pretty damaged. It's kind of like scraped and scored. It's an old looking seal, probably never changed. So it's time to open up the new one and get it in. It is time to open up this new seal and get it fitted. If anybody has any idea what this LDA does, I've never heard of it. I didn't even know it was on the van. That is the size of the little seal. Absolutely tiny. So let's get this into Fergus, clean it all up and start the van up, see if there are any leaks. So now it's all cleaned up, it's time to put on the little washer that came off it in the first place, so that just sits on nicely there. Now it's time to put this back on, and it can only go one way because there's like a little groove on the kind of end of the nut, if you want to call it. It's not going on. So now that is all tightened down, and I just have to torque it to spec. Yep, that's it. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but the seal is pretty old seal and it's very hard. So I think that could have been causing our leak. The fumes in this garage right now, after leaving Fergus running for the last 10 minutes, the fumes are outrageous. But it looks to be fixed, and it has been running for probably 10 minutes now, and there is no leaks as of yet. So we're going to take that as a W and say that the diesel leak is now fixed. So this is how I noticed that the van was leaking, is because every time after we would drive, we would find a little puddle of kind of like, I was like, it doesn't feel like oil, definitely has like a diesel texture to it. So I'm just going to clean up around here, and then we will know if we have any more leaks, because if it's wet, we've got problems. So we have made it to Donegal. We have drove about 200 kilometers now, and we are proud to say that there is no diesel leak on Fergus anymore. And it's crazy to think that it's only that little tiny seal that was causing such an issue. Thank God we got it sorted, because I didn't want to be driving with diesel leaking all over the engine. And now the engine is bone dry, not a drop of diesel, and we have made it to the beautiful Donegal, but not without another issue.
So you'll find out more about this new issue in the next video. So for now, share, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one with a new issue.